So you're thinking of relocating to Huntsville, Alabama. Should you buy a new home and avoid the #1 issue with Alabama that makes it so behind any other state in the union? Or should you take the gamble and buy a resale home? Well, by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which way you should go. I get this question all the time from people relocating here, and I'm going to talk you through the pros and cons of a new construction. And there's one thing about it that no one really keeps in mind. The builders do a good job behind this, but there's something that resale homes have that no new construction is going to have. So starting off with the general, the very first thing you need to know about Alabama is the buyer beware state, which means sellers are not required to disclose issues. I'm going to stop there because most of you moving from anywhere else, you're having to sign a disclosure form with your agent about the issues with your home, and then you're coming here and none of that is required from the seller. That is a lot to navigate, and for that right there is a reason a lot of people decide to just go ahead and buy new construction, because you get a little bit more guarantees, some builder warranties. Usually you get a 1-year warranty on the inside of the home, a 2-year for the HVAC, the major systems, and then a lot of times a 10-year structural warranty. There's a lot of nuance right there too, though, because when you're looking at the longer term warranties, some builders guarantee that by themselves. I'm not a fan of that, because if that builder made a whole subdivision of problems where they didn't have that structure right, and then they have to pay all this out, they could go belly up. And then if they were the one guaranteeing it, then they're gone. I much prefer when a third party assumes that risk, so that way you don't have to worry about the developer going out, and then you're just stuck high and dry. That being said, though, something about resale homes, you can see, and this is something that's great, especially on a brick house. I love brick houses because you can see if there's, it can become really evident if there's a structural problem with it. If you're looking and there's massive cracks going up the wall, that might be indicated that something happened there. There's some shifting. So older homes, you get to see, if they've been there 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you can pretty much assume, okay, it's done the majority of the settling is going to do. New homes, though, they're able to do something that make them look so much better than older homes. And the builders, because they're making profit on this, they're able to set up the incentives so it's so attractive. A lot of times they know that in a high interest rate environment that we're in right now, and I've got thoughts on that too, but you know what? No one has a crystal ball on where that's going. We'll just save that for later. But you got to be careful in what they do with the interest rate buy downs. Some will advertise like a 3.5% interest rate. Well, oftentimes what that is they've just paid the interest rate for you, that 2% in year one, and then the next year it goes 4%, and then whatever is after that. So a lot of people who are betting that interest rates are going to drop any day now back to the 2-3% that we had, 4% that we had 5 years ago, they're in for a rude surprise, rude awakening if it doesn't happen. It's not an adjustable rate mortgage, but boy, we're flirting with those same ideas of variable payments. I'm not a big fan. I mean, it's a nice incentive. It's better than nothing, but I wouldn't buy a new house just because of interest rate like that, interest rate buy down. The other thing that builders will do, they'll throw in, crazy incentives like $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 of upgrades that you can do in the house. Well, when you go down to looking at what those upgrades are, sometimes they're, it's a good deal. It's things that you want to do. A lot of times you are overpaying for those upgrades. So it depends if you want to just hassle-free, pay the premium, let them do that, or if you're really getting as good of a deal as you think you are. They can do some things where they do some sleight of hand where there are some great deals. It's not always as great as it looks. When it comes to a resale home, though, a lot of times, if you get a stubborn seller that doesn't remember what it was like to have to pay all the closing costs up front, that is something that a builder is great on. Oftentimes they will cover majority of the closing costs or some kind of credit, and you have to negotiate that more when it comes to a resale home. But number one thing a resale home has that no new construction or most are not going to have is lot sizes. Back in the 50s, 70s, 90s, even early 2000s, lots were so much bigger than they are today, and with so many an influx of people coming in, the cities are wanting to get smaller lot sizes for more tax revenue. The developers want to get more lot sizes in there, because more lots in there just to profit more off of the development. And so when you're looking for a half-acre lot, that there are some builders that have that for new, but you get half acre. If you're looking at acre plus, you're really going to need to oftentimes look into a resale home just to get that land, just to get those mature, established locations, neighborhoods, that's that sort of thing. The next parts, so when I'm talking to people and you're giving me the dream list, that's going to be one of those things right up. Hey, do you want low maintenance, or what is lot size importance? Because that kind of filters out a lot of the new construction versus resale home right there. The next parts that we need to talk about when it comes to a new home is the build quality. If some builders, when you're paying a lot for price per square foot with a smaller house, you're getting a lot of nice premium finishes. Others, you're getting massive houses, lower price per square foot, and the cabinets there, the builder grade finishes. It's you're looking at presswood cabinets, lower quality as opposed to like plywood, that you might see in an older style home. A lot to think about there in the build quality. Now, the number one thing that a new construction house has usually as a win over a resale home is it's more energy efficient because of building codes, and what's come a long ways. Single pane windows, especially in the summer, it's going to just drive up your utility costs like crazy. The energy efficiency of a new home, that's a huge driver for why we bought it. The other parts a new home is going to get you advantage on when you're moving here, and a lot of people don't even think about this. Actually, when we purchased our new construction home, this took us by surprise. The homeowner's insurance, it's a lot more affordable on new construction because the homeowner's insurance are looking at like everything's brand new, it should be good. On our house, I've seen with clients who bought cheaper houses than ours have to pay more even when they bundled with their auto, pay more in homeowner's insurance than we have in a more expensive brand new built home. Crazy to me. It's just incredible. So if it is something to keep in mind if you're on a fixed income, or you're looking for that, trying to keep things on a budget, you might be better off with a brand new home, at least for those first few years. Now, here's the thing everyone gets wrong, and I don't care if you're buying a new construction or a used house, but this can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. We talked about Alabama being a beware state earlier. Maintenance. You know how many people, I've never had someone when I'm talking to them tell me that when they're looking at their monthly payment about where they want to purchase at, they never ever give me a maintenance fund, and it blows my mind. 1% minimum, whatever price point you're looking at. When you look at used home, assume that for maintenance. If you're looking at a $600,000 house, it's $6,000 a year, $500 a month. I want you set aside in a completely separate checking account just for home repair, to fix that roof, HVAC, septic tank if you're not going to be on city services, if you're getting a place with acreage out in the county. That's what you need to be paying attention to, so that you're not taken off guard when something goes wrong, and it will. If it's a new construction home, okay, depending on what you get, if you're going custom, if you're putting all the finishes in, yeah, those first few years you may not have to worry about maintenance as much. Everything's brand new. If you're going on a budget, going in and getting kind of a basic builder grade new home, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen is you're going to want to, or if you're DIY people, what's going to happen is you're going to want to upgrade this and upgrade this and upgrade that. And guess what? Before long, you're spending 1% in upgrades to the house. So just do yourself a favor for financial planning, and make it a little bit easier on yourself by taking your full mortgage payment and adding 1% for maintenance at a minimum when you're going in. It's going to save you so much heartache down the road, prevent you from buying too much house. And look, if you got more questions on that, our team here at Redstone Realty Solutions, we got your back when you're relocating to Huntsville, Alabama. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, days, nights, weekends, book a Zoom appointment with us. I love doing a Zoom call. It's so much more personal than we even get during a phone call. Schedule that. We'll have in the pinned comment below. But that is something that I just hammer hard, especially I'm a finance major. Coming from that background, thinking about, it's not just a house, but that's one of the massive roadblocks people have for the retirement is they overbuy on the house. They don't have enough to invest properly in retirement. And this is an area in the low cost of living area that if you set up right, you're set for retirement. $2 million a year for retirement accounts with a pension that the state's not going to tax takes you so far. It's incredible what you can do on that here. But back to the new construction versus resale home. The number one thing that people miss when they're looking at new construction or resale is going to be the location. Look, a lot of these communities are going further and further out. If you want a short commute to Redstone or Research Cummings, right there at Parkway, a lot of those areas right around it that are established, you're having urban sprawl. Huntsville is such an urban sprawl city. If you're wanting to have, there is a lot of high-rise condos and apartments going in, but if you're looking for that subdivision, it's sprawling out further and further. Some of these areas they're making very nice with trails, with HOA amenities, that kind of thing. You may see some of that in the older neighborhoods. A lot of the older established neighborhoods, it was just homes that were thrown up, bigger lots kind of thing, but they're close to everything. So urban sprawl, not really understanding where you are in relation to everything else, and then the traffic issues. If you're going to be on the wrong side of 72 and you're there in rush hour, it can be a nightmare. If you're going way out for that affordability, and you're on a 2-lane road where they just dropped 30 developers just drops 2,000, 3,000 homes there. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but all that new home traffic on roads that city cannot sustain. They're not anytime soon going to expand it to 4-lane roads like it needs to be. That's going to be the number one mistake. New communities, they tend to be further out, and that's part of your trade-off for what you're getting. Established communities tend to be a little bit closer. You just need to know what you're doing when you're dealing with that. So what did we end up doing moving here? Well, we went new construction. The main reason for that was we knew that the first home we bought isn't going to be a forever home. My wife wants chickens. Every single day she's like, man, I want to get chickens like my in-laws have over here. A place like this. But we knew for that first home that we were going to buy a starter home that was new, something that we could put the wear and tear on it, do the upgrades on it, let the builder try their best to get the ending phase of that development higher in home price than the beginning phase, because look, they want to make more money, and so we're betting on them make those last homes they are selling going for more than the first when we bought in early. We're dealing with the construction. The construction can be a pain. Mud everywhere. If you haven't ever been to Alabama, it is clay. It is red clay. And so when you're in a new development, it's red clay everywhere. You've got the nails that you have to worry about. If they're not clean up after themselves, popping tires. You've got the construction noise. You've got workers out there, dumpsters. It's not pretty, especially when you're in early. It's ugly. But that's part of the cost, part of what you're putting up with on that hopes that you're going to be able to gain in the appreciation for that. So that's why we bet on that. And we bought a place that we thought, this could be, we had options. We could sell it later on. We could rent it out and start getting cash flowing rental income by coming in early. And then, so we bought for options, knowing whether or not we wanted to, knowing that we didn't want to be there long term, but we're using it as a stepping stone. A lot of you may be looking at similar boats where you are in, the next 10 years, you're going to be working there and, finishing up your career there in Huntsville. And then your vision of what you want to get, you can sell that place, retire out to the country, get something, build something brand new, or do something with acreage, whatever that dream for what you want is, or, downsize a bit. But depending on what season of life you're in, most of the time, you're not buying your forever home. You're buying something that's going to be a good fit for the next 5, 7, 10 years. And so that is a key, whether it's new construction, whether it's a resale home, find this home that's going to fit the lifestyle and support what you need, that's going to be supporting for what you're going to build for the next 5, 7, 10 years, so that you get the maximum enjoyment, the maximum return out of it. Okay, so I teased on a little bit earlier when we were talking about interest rates. I went through a finance degree, and when you look at the history, mortgage rates follow the 10-year treasury. The interest rates that bottom out that we were so used to was an anomaly, kicked off with the Great Recession. Unless we get something to that blow to the economy again, or when you think back to COVID-19, all right, we didn't know what was going on. The whole economy shut down. The Fed hit the brakes. They pumped money into it just to keep catastrophe. We dealt with a huge inflation to try and prevent what they were seeing as something that could be worse. Low, easy money maybe it comes back. But if it does, you're either going to be looking at, you can expect inflation to go along with it again, or something that's shocking the economy to the extent of the great financial crisis, COVID-19. I don't want to see that. I like stability. I would rather, we've got a reasonable rate where, I don't have a crystal ball on where things are going, but that's an educated perspective. A lot of people just think, oh, it's just going to go back. That was normal. You're anchored into what you thought was normal. What we went through was not normal from any historical basis. So I would be skeptical about betting on that coming back. So when you're looking at, the practical implication is, when you're looking at 2-1 rate buy down, when you're looking at a builder that's out advertising a teaser rate for the first year and the second year, and then you're thinking maybe I can refinance it below, maybe you get lucky and it works out in your favor. Although if you're getting lucky, I don't want to think about what's happening to the economy to drive that from happening. Okay. Let me know in the comments if you have any other thoughts on new construction versus resale. I hear a lot of people think these new houses are absolute garbage, that it's low build quality. Honestly, you get what you pay for. Yes, you get what you pay for, but the energy efficiency on a lot of these homes, that's a huge perk. The roof being updated, the HVAC being updated, there are some perks that you get here that on an older home, that just because it's older doesn't mean it's better. There could be underlying issues with those places that, for one example, if they have outdated sewer pipes, it'd be so expensive to fix. Or or if they're still on fuse boxes. Every now and then we see a place of fuse boxes. It's okay. Something you probably want to get an electrician to update that. But overall, we chose new construction. It's not a fit for everyone. You do pay a premium for it. Just know what you're getting into. Looking back, even now at the resale homes, we didn't want to deal with the work of updating a resale home with our, we have two under, well, one's 2, the other's, less under 2 years old, but we have 2 young kids. We didn't want to deal with just another hassle of flipping a house, ripping out that nasty carpet, putting in new flooring. We didn't want to deal with those expenses. We didn't want to deal with the shock to the budget. We just wanted a place that we could start, improving, had a backyard for our kids to go play in. That was what we wanted, and we were willing to pay a premium for that. Older homes, bigger lot sizes, it's still appealing. However, we know what we really want. You got to know what you really want, and you got to play the trade-offs of what you want to do to get there. So anyway, if you want to know more about what it's like moving to Huntsville, Alabama, check out this playlist here. We've got deep dives, vlogs in the area, pros and cons in the city, everything you want to know about moving here. And if you're ready to reach out, so check out that playlist, and I'll catch you on the next video.